zikubye zifumbedde kati nno nyini kakono kakimye bwakedde bisula ngamba bino ebyessanyu ate olunaku lw'omwana lwe yatulaganyiza atulage ekkula leero tugenda kwebuga twetale mwesibe ebisenso owerimu atemye ku wabiri nga kifumba muntu kw'amabeere gayola wabadde alina puroguramu nandikusemyo zeziniwe era nawe ayinamu enyiike nandikusemyo gyobibe lunaku lw'omwana tulabirawo abaana bange abakotomi bano bulijjo beninda mwebale okulonda mwebale mwebaleo kewune kambibye ketulye kakwake abakodomi tweyanze mwebala okukyala ne mutindiga egendo sirema bebaza n'ebintu byemulese nkumulitunninga afunye ekitengo kambibye ati azala nakuza bino byabeera kona mpulire laba amakanzi mwetale katunigine kona nnyo konera ddala nyenya nnyo nyenyeza ddala tulabirewo abaana bange abakatomi bebano bulijjo beninda mwebale okulonda mwebale
Well, hello. I'll do a little song. Welcome to everybody. All the people that have come this evening and the people online. I'm hoping they will be able to see this live streamed performance this evening because there's people in Uganda and there's people who came to Uganda with us who will be online. And so I'm just saying welcome to you all. And it's wonderful, I've got an array of beauties in front of me who are going to stand up in a minute. But I'm going to pray and just commit this whole evening to the Lord and also just give a scripture to you. So let's just pray. Heavenly Father, I just thank you so much that you're here with us now. Thank you for the wonderful opportunity that you gave to each one of us to be able to go out to Uganda. Thank you that you went ahead of us and you prepared the trip that we enjoyed so much. So we commit this evening to you and we thank you for everybody who participated one way or another. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Now there's two scriptures I always think of when I think of Christian Relief Uganda. And that, at the very beginning, I remember that one of the first scriptures was James 1:27. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this, to look after orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. And I remember reading that and thinking, this is exactly what God wants us to do out in Uganda. Help those orphans and the widows and people who are in distress. And my goodness, have we done that over the last 30 years. And then the other one, which many of you will be familiar with, is Matthew 25:35 to 36. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. And we do thank God that we have been able to accomplish every one of those things that are written there, even to the amazing way in which God got one of the boys out of prison, and he hadn't done anything, but he ended up in there. So it was a miracle of him getting out. But I do thank God. So these lovely people in front of me all said last September, Rona, do you think I can come on the next trip to Uganda? So they came to a PowerPoint presentation, and which we have as a pre-trip presentation. And that then they look at that and they decide, is it for me or is it not for me? And guess what? They all said yes. And so then we made the procedure of getting the flights, working out a tentative plan that we could do when we were out there, and then actually going on June the 24th, and then we came back July the 12th. And so I'm going to invite them all up because they're all going to be part of this presentation, because all the different slides they were involved in one way or another. And we're going to pass this mic around in no particular order because it's as and when the pictures come up and they were actually involved, they can passionately tell you about their involvement and the way in which you, one way or another, have helped. You might have given us money for the children to swim. You might have given us money for any project that we felt we should do out there, and you will see the projects we were involved in that just happen when we're out there. So if you'd all like to get up, that would be lovely, and we can introduce each one. Okay. Not at the back. Come forward, you all look beautiful. Let's put this table further back, please. That's lovely. That's it, smashing. All right, so I'm going to give you a mic because I've got my mic. So there you go. And you can see the slides that are coming up. So you can speak over the slides, okay. Right, so yeah, it was the 30th anniversary, which was very, very exciting. Can you believe it? Those people who've known me for a long time, and when we first started out, it was 30 years ago, and how fast has that gone? And so here we are. Let's look at this one. Because of your generosity, we had suitcases and suitcases to unpack. Does anybody want to talk about unpacking the suitcases? Yeah?
No one? No.
Yes.
So we all brought suitcases filled with donations and gifts and stuff. And Pippa, Joanna and I sat in the guest room of the guest house in the school, and we sat there for hours and hours. We were just unpacking all of these gifts and donations that you'd all given us. It took ages, but we managed to sort them all out into like piles and stuff. And Ro called it our charity shop.
It was just like a charity shop, wasn't it? So we put all the medical in one thing, all the toys in another, all the ladies' clothes and the men's clothes and the children's, and we had them everywhere. And somebody had given us lots of little tiny toys, which we will tell you about later. So yeah, and that's me sorting out the Omo for everybody. Can you remember Omo? Those people who remember Omo? Yeah, well, it's there. Along with Milo, if you remember Milo. So there we were, and here we are, giving out the shirts.
That's the dresses.
Do you want me to? Yeah. So the pictures that you can see behind us at the moment, a very kind lady from the church that I go to in Manchester. She started last year. She made some dresses for me last year for the children at Maria's Care. She made nearly 80 dresses in the course of a year. And so those are some of the little girls with their dresses on. And you'll also see some of the boys in T-shirts and shorts. And they were made by my hairdresser, who got very cross with me last year when she only found out 3 weeks before I went. She said, "You didn't tell me you were going to Uganda." She said, "But someone else who's come here has told me. So what can I do?" So, and I knew she sewed. So she said, "Have you got anything for the boys?" I said, "Oh, I hadn't thought about the boys. I know girls like pretty dresses." She said, "Leave it with me." And a week later, she rang me. She said, "I've got my sewing machine in the hairdressing salon. I've done 25 already." And she did 50 little boys' outfits. And their names were Marilyn and Michelle.
So these slides show the boys very gratefully receiving football strips, which Eleanor and Lucas and Xander helped to collect from their friends as they grew out of football strips. We collected them and we ended up with quite a lot. The only problem we had was that a lot of them were sort of quite small, so we had to use some of the donations, and we were able to give some of the older boys, particularly, some of the donations that we'd had, some nice trendy shirts, things like that. So everybody received a football strip or a trendy top, and they were delighted with the football strips. They were so pleased, and we were pleased so long as they supported Manchester United.
And these are some pictures just inside Maria's care. And I think, Amelie, you were going to talk about that?
Yes, so was it Monday the first day?
Yeah.
Yeah, on Monday, one of the deputy heads called Fred really kindly showed all of us around all the classrooms, and we got to see all the kids writing. I remember there were like 2- and 3-year-olds writing full words and drawing proper pictures that actually made sense, which was incredible. And yeah, we got to listen into loads of classes. They sang songs for us. They had like little chants and claps and stuff, which was really fun. Yeah, we got to listen in, and they're just so like, they have so much knowledge and they're so wise at such a young age as well. It's really great to see.
And they were very attentive, weren't they, to their teacher?
I mean, I was also impressed with the fact that the way that the lessons were run, the teacher stood at the front, the children were very, very respectful. Everybody valued the fact that they were in a classroom, but it was very engaging. The children would stand to answer a question, and then the other children would send flowers over them if they got it right, or they did a little action. So it was very much what we used to call brain gym, if you're familiar with that. It was kind of very engaging. They weren't just sitting listening or rote learning. It was very engaging learning, and it was obviously working.
Yeah. And then they got up to sing to us.
Yeah.
They all performed, and that was beautiful. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, does somebody else want to do that?
Have you got a video for us? Okay. Now we'll tell you about that. All those little gifts that were given to us, they made lots of little packets up. And when the children were in the dining room, when the children were in the dining room, you tiptoed in and went and put little bags of toys on all of their beds, didn't you? Both in the girls' and the boys' dormitory. And that first clip was when the children found them. Do you want to say a bit about that?
Yes, so they were donated from TFW. I know, Abby, you worked very hard on this, didn't you, and Eleanor, putting together little gifts. Unfortunately, we weren't able to give them the chalk because they weren't allowed to have chalk in the classrooms. Only the teachers were allowed the chalk. So we had the benefit of using some small gifts that somebody else had contributed. And so we took the chalk out and put a little gift in, and the children were so grateful. You know, if you'd given them an iPad, they couldn't have been more grateful. And it might be just a little curly snake or a key ring or a balloon even. They were tiny gifts, but to them it meant an awful lot, and they were so grateful. And there was also some little words of scripture for them as well to read, which they could use as bookmarks or with their learning. It was great, wasn't it?
They were. And Tim?
Yeah, just to say, I'd found that the level of enthusiasm generally for everything that went on, and giving these gifts was really touching when we were there, and it was so kind of good to see it so directly. The money that we'd managed to collect, things that bring from all of you, was going so directly to them and seeing immediately the kind of joy that was in their faces for tiny things, just the small things, details, just giving them some attention was just really touching.
Yeah.
And also something else about these kids that I never seen in all the time. I'm sorry for my English, it's not perfect, I'm Italian, by the way. So I didn't never see one crying, so except when we left, they were being very sad. But during the time when we were playing with them, they just smile. And one day I say, well, how is your day? They get up at 4:30 in the morning, and then they go into school without breakfast. And then at 10:30, they have just a glass of porridge with water, and then they're going back to school. And then they have lunch at 1 o'clock, and then go back to school until 5. So it's a long day for them, but I always see smile and just happiness, and that is incredible.
Yeah. And I think as well, a lot of these things that we're talking about, yes, we had a big laugh about the tentative plan that I put together. It has to be tentative. How do I know when I'm here in Titherington doing a plan that we're going to end up with all those lovely little bags and what we're going to do with them and how we're going to distribute them? So things just happen. And then they will say to me, Rona, shall we do this? Shall we do that? And I say, that's a brilliant idea. And they get on with things and they do it. Now, I could be over there doing something else, because when you've got 10 people, you know, we're all in different places around the compound. And so it's as good for me to see some of these photographs. We were sharing them because I didn't actually go into the dormitories when they were doing this. So it was really great. And yes, the children were all laughing and having fun, but so were we. We did so much laughing. It was great fun. And so, yeah, a lot of spontaneity. I say, you know, we have to have spontaneity as our middle name, and we have to be flexible. If you're not flexible, you'll just break. So we were flexible, all of us. And there we are, the children there praying before their meal and then getting their hair cut, that little one getting his hair cut. Now, who was doing these birds and boats and hats? Somebody was. Yeah?
We did it together, but she was the teacher.
Okay, so I think the adults had gone for their swimming lesson, hadn't they, the staff? So they had the opportunity to go swimming. And so Addo and I just happened to be the only ones still left with the boarders. Most of the staff had disappeared, hadn't they? So we decided we'd do an activity with the children. So we made some doves, like doves of peace, and we put a slit through. The children had concertina and colour. And they were absolutely delighted. I mean, we had limited supplies of crayons for them to use, but they did. And they, we were really pleased because they just dashed off with them. And they were the boarders. So they all have their own bunks. And they suspended them from the bunk bed above so they could see them hanging in front of their bed. So that was a really successful activity. And they just loved it. Very simple, but they loved it. And I think somebody else made boats and hats. On aeroplanes, paper aeroplanes.
Yeah, Tim enjoyed that. There was aeroplanes all over the compound. Yeah, it was great. Yeah. Now, when we were walking around on the Monday, because I've been there many times, I was doing a lot of looking up. And I said later to Julie, do you know what? There's a lot of holes up there. Now, the money is used for education and food, and projects are another thing. And later, we had a word with the head and said, look, what's happening with that roof? Because it's being eaten by termites. It's not good. Anyway, to cut a long story short, we asked how much it would cost to put the roof right. And they told us, and at breakfast, I would say to the group, right, this is how much this is going to cost. Would you like to put so much in? And it was usually around about £10 each, because £10 when there's all of us, there was 100 quid. So we worked out what each thing would cost. And so through all of you and other people, we were able to get that roof in the classroom sorted out. So that was really good. And we'll show you some of the things as we go along. This was another one. As we were going along this little road to the headmasters, there was pipes showing. And I said, if they keep going like this, the pipes will burst. So we found out how much the cement should be, and they got that sorted. You see, there's plenty of people around the compound, just outside, who are qualified to do these things, and they're just waiting. And so we said to Fred or Dan, will you get somebody to be able to do this? And they said, yep. and they sorted it out. So things get done quickly when you've got some money to help and support them. And again, it's because of your support. Now, who wants to talk about Bus and Batia? Maybe Tim. You loved Bus and Batia, didn't you? Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, it was quite an eye-opener, because we went out there to see where a lady called Rebecca lived in Busumbati, which was a village quite a few kilometers away from Kamuli. And she had set up a small cottage business of doing various things: basket weaving, making soap, making juice from sugar cane, various other things. You can probably remind me of some of the other ones. But and Vaseline and face and body cream, and it was really well thought out. It was a small little business where there were just a few people in their houses there, but they'd really thought it out well, and they were really trying hard to get this off the ground. So I think we gave them some concrete help as well. It was one of the projects. It was interesting to see how people were in a very simple setting, were really working hard and moving ahead. And from that, she was then probably able to help some of the other people around Busumbati, which was certainly not a well-to-do village. And we went to visit the small school there, which was a very simple school, but it was really nice to have met the children there as well in that school, and seen another reality. I don't know, anybody else want to add any comments on about Busumbati?
I will say that Rebecca was one of Maria's first students, and she was in her teens 30 years ago. And because she saw what Maria was doing, taking people in, looking after them, she wanted to do the same. And so she did that, and then she had to use her initiative to make some money. And as you can see, that's you, Ado, isn't it? With that machine.
Yeah, it's me,
Where you put the, is it? Where you put the sugar cane through and turn the big handle, and then the juice comes out. I mean, it was an amazing machine. I think most people had a go. I don't know whether we have a video for that, but yeah, do you want to speak about that?
I'm just saying about the energy that they have and the welcome they did to us when we arrive. They're just so happy, and then they also, on top of what Tim said, those bags that they're making these beautiful bags, and they're just showing us how to make them. So anyway, that experience in that village for me was probably one of my highlights in Uganda. I mean, it was like amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you all bought bags, didn't you? Yeah. I mean, they made lots of bags before we came, which again was a good initiative, and they all went and bought bags. They came with 2 or 3 bags, and we had a little fashion parade with them all. We had a lot of fun doing that. And this is what Tim got very involved with, stirring the shampoo and Vaseline, and we had a great time learning how to do that. And in fact, I think there are some little Vaselines at the back there. You'll be able to have a look. We've brought a load of craft. If anybody would like to buy them, you're more than happy. And the weaving, you took a great interest, Julie, didn't you, in that, as well as others. Do you want to say something about that?
Thank you. Yeah, the weaving, it was really interesting because what they used, when you receive a parcel and it's got that plastic tape around it that you cut, well, that was what it was. But they buy, a lot of this in rolls, and that was what they were using for weaving. So these bags are really sturdy, but it was very interesting to see that.
Just another comment about this soap. I was impressed by the soap because the chemistry was quite well worked out and interesting. They were using concentrated sulfuric acid and caustic soda for some parts of it, and as well as a series of other ingredients. But you could see they really worked out the process very well, and the product that came out was apparently seemed very, very professional. Yeah.
And they'd worked out all the ingredients and how they weighed them and everything. Yes, something we would never, well, I certainly have never seen before. It was incredible. And here we all are, in the rural area, just round the corner from Rebecca's place, and we had this photograph taken. It's always good as a memory to see us all there. Because often when people talk about Uganda, they get all sorts of concepts. And yes, Kampala has huge buildings, just like London. And Ginger has big buildings. And then these sort of places have the mud huts and the trees and the little houses. And it's very, very different. So it's good. Because when people say, can I come with you? And they say, what's it like? I don't know where to start, really. But they know now what it's like. There's a little school, and they did a lot of singing in there, didn't they?
Yeah.
Anybody want to say about that? We weren't due to go in that little school, but I said to the group when they'd finished doing things, anything you want to do? And they said, please, please, can we go in that little school next door? And it was like, yeah, fine. And so we went, and you were all able to say your name and then sing, and the children sang. And again, spontaneity, so much fun. And every trip is different. Whenever I take people out, it's different every single time. Now, I think this is one for you, Helen.
Oh.
Right. I'm retired now from teaching, but I had this idea because the school I used to work at, St Luke's in Weast, they're twinned with Maria's Care School in Uganda. And I thought since we were going, it'd be nice to take them a birthday present because it was their 30th anniversary. So myself and one of the teaching assistants held a sewing club after school, and we had 22 children coming along, and they designed the banner themselves. They sewed it all together themselves with a little bit of our help and a little bit of guidance, and then we took it out to Uganda, and it was really quite warming to see them receive it and how happy they were to receive it. And on one of the beds in my house at the moment is the banner that we made while we were out there, which I'm frantically trying to sew together before the end of term, because the deaf children made one to bring home. So I'll be able to take that to school and hopefully at some point show you a photograph of that. Yes.
On the far left is Raquel, and she joined us from Spain, and she just dived into all the work that you could hardly call work, and was just a fantastic member of the team. And then you have, is that you, Helen? Are you holding that up with Raquel? Yeah, and then the man in the orange top is Fred Gumasi. He's a deputy headmaster. And the man on the right is Dan. He is the headmaster.
And hopefully they'll be watching, so you are very welcome.
Oh, sorry, there's Fred. We have two Freds. And in the middle is Fred Katosi. And so they're watching us, are they?
Pardon?
Are they watching now?
Yes, they are.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, all of you. Hope you didn't mind being introduced there. Thank you.
Well, I hope so. I hope they've got the connection. They are on holiday, and also I hope the NGO trustees are watching. They said they hope to join us, so it's a warm welcome. And when you said about Raquel should be there as well, which would be great. We always love to give the teachers gifts, and so many times we get soap and salt and rice and just different things. Each time it's different, and we try and give them garments. And here we are with some of the things that have been donated to us, and they were always thrilled. Who gave those out? One of you? The men's. Mm-hmm. Oh, it was Raquel. Yeah, okay. No, that was great. And they're absolutely thrilled with this, and we're thrilled to give it to them. I mean, we're just the messengers. You give us tons of stuff, and we go and we find the people that should have it. And Dan, I think that this is something that your family did.
On the right, you'll see some boxes of a really nice soap encased in a knitted pouch, and the pouches have a cross on the side that was knitted into them, and they were knitted by my Auntie Barbara, she's only 90, my mum's 92. They're sisters. So it was really lovely that we were able to give. She made more than 30, and I think there were more than 30 of the staff, and they all were given. So that's one for Auntie Barbara to know about.
Yeah.
And the other picture.
And here they all are receiving. One of you took this photograph. Who was it? Was it you, Pippa? Yeah. It's great fun getting all the staff together. Often they're just in a long line. It looks as though they're waiting for a bus. And then I say, come along, get yourselves together. And then they hold everything. And it's lovely to see the big smiles on their faces. And I can see Raquel at the back there too. So she had a big part to play in that. And also the ladies. Many of you gave me bags of bras. Now, don't laugh, guys. The bras out there are so bad. And the women are so grateful to have these nice bras, and we gave those out. And they all get round the table, and they do that, and they say, that won't fit me, but it'll fit you. This is too big for me, but it'll fit you. And it's great fun. And they all go off with bras. Does anybody want to say about the bra? No? Only me.
Just to say that when I first visited and we had lots of bras, I thought, what is this? Bags and bags of them. And I thought, who's going to sort out all the sizes? But it wasn't necessary, really, because, they were fine.
Yeah, we don't have to sort the sizes out. I remember going to the hospital and all the nurses there getting the bras. And also, in our hotel, we call in the staff and say, here, go through this lot. And then they all go off, the housekeepers from the rooms, and they're so excited because we don't want to miss anybody out, and especially when we've got so many things, it's great. And again, different donations, hats and lovely. Somebody just might recognise that blouse, could be the one that you gave. And here they all are, laughing and giggling, and I think, Helen, didn't you give out something to them?
Picture. Yes, while they were giving out the shirts and the clothes, we also gave them a bag of salt and a bag of sugar, I believe, that they could take home to add to their supplies. Because what we forget sometimes is, we can go to the cupboard and get out a packet of sugar or a packet of salt or a packet of flour. We just take it for granted, but for them, it's a staple. It's part of their staple diet, and if they can't afford to buy it, then they can't afford to make the things that they need to eat.
Yeah, very true. We do come back changed because we realise how little people are able to afford and how we do take so much for granted. And it does take a while for that to sink in. Because we're all millionaires sitting in this room. Even if you've got a toilet seat and not a pit latrine, you're a millionaire, because we have so much. And this was all the fun and games of the anniversary. When do you want to put a video in there, Jack? Just let me know. So there we are, that lovely little girl with the balloon, and the little one in the middle. And the one on the right there is when we actually arrived, and he was dancing and singing, and they were all dancing and singing. And thanks, Jack. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. Yeah, they're saying, welcome visitors. And they were all dancing and singing, and we were dancing and singing. And the freedom out there is wonderful. You know, if you weren't all here, I'd say to this lot, come on, we'll go and dance around the church. And we would, because we've got that freedom. But I'm afraid when we got off the plane, it changed, didn't it? Very, very different when we get off the plane. And it was such a great pleasure. I still don't know who made that cake, Julie. It's a beautiful cake, and that was the 30th anniversary one. And those are the trustees, myself, Helen, and Julie and Carolyn cutting the cake. And there we are in our beautiful dresses. Tim just said, right, come on all of you, and we all got together. It was on the Monday at the beginning when I said, look, if you want to have nice outfits for Saturday, we'll choose material now. And then each person chose their material, and then we got different patterns and we had them made. And we were all very happy. Or they say happy. They don't use the H. We were all very happy. And it was great. And here we are with the staff. And we've got a picture, a video. Thanks, Jack. They practiced a lot. Have we got another one? Yes, here's the little one. Yeah, we must say thank you to all those people, the staff that practiced well in advance.
I want just to say something about this dancing. We were very impressed, all of us, because they prepare, you just see 30 seconds, but they were really performing so well. And they prepared it in 1 week. I was like, I can't believe it. I couldn't believe it, honestly. They were like performing so well. No?
Yeah, I think you could have done that because you were practicing with them. I saw you.
I didn't do the same.
Yeah.
Sneaked into the dance class.
Yeah, I wanted to say before on one of the slides before, the boy that was dancing, he welcomed us into the school on Monday, and he also was right at the front of the march. His name is Tom, and he's one of the deaf children, and he's got the most amazing dance skill for someone who can't hear a thing. Like, he's got so much more rhythm than any of us hearing people. Like, he's just such a good dancer, and he can't hear.
Amazing.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. Yes, I forgot to say the majority of our children can hear, but there are about, is it 39, something like that, are deaf. And so in the classroom, they're taught on this side with who are hearing, and a teacher that hears and speaks, and this side, they hear what's happening that side, and they sign. And like you were saying, when the teacher asks a question and they get it right, they do flowers. So all the kids do this, and they all do flowers. And the same for the deaf. And I know quite a few of you started to learn the sign language, which was commendable, because it's a different sign language to what we have here. But I know you've kept it up as well, so that's really good. No, that's excellent. So here we are with the staff. Yeah, that was, I think, just after everything had happened, and we had all the usual photographs and things. But the whole performance went on for a whole day, and we had the privilege of sitting under a tent with all the flowers, and the children were running around. I mean, we just had a great time. And balloons coming out of our ears, and the children had the balloons, and it was great. Christmas decorations everywhere. It was great fun.
Can I just say as well, Rona, that I was talking to the children afterwards because they looked spectacular. Their costumes were amazing, weren't they? And they were all made up, and I thought they'd used face paints. So I said to them, oh gosh, you had face paints. And they said, well, no, this is toothpaste. They've got toothpaste just dotted on their faces. Why is toothpaste? And they'd used a millet mix, or anyway, the mix that they have what's posho, is it? Millet? Yeah, millet mix. Maize. So they'd put maize and water together and absolutely plastered their heads in it. So they looked very traditional as dancers. It was incredible how they'd been so resourceful to make themselves look so spectacular.
No. Yeah, did look good. And you all look good there with the teachers and all your lovely outfits. Now again, they needed to have this banner, and we're going to see hopefully the parade. They were paraded around the whole of Camuli. I did half of it and you all did the whole lot. And then I came back and sat with some children and watched them coming in. And all of you were having a great time dancing. This is the day that the Lord has made. Anybody recognise the tune? There's our staff looking very smart. And that's Judith, who used to go to the school and is now an attorney. And her sister is there as well. She works on the big cruise ships, goes around the world, all from that little school in Camuli. There we go. Yeah, lots of amazing stories from Maria's care. And as you can imagine, in 30 years, a lot of children have gone through the school. And they were dancing and singing all the way along. Does anybody want to say about that experience? Because it was amazing, wasn't it?
It was really, really hot. And I think it might have been a couple of miles altogether. And sometimes the children were carried, but nobody struggled. It was just a really fun thing to do. And as we went through the streets, people stopped and they were really interested and supportive of what we were doing. And we felt quite proud to represent those people who kept the school going for 30 years.
Yeah.
And we were appreciated, and there's a lot of clapping and support. And they're teachers, aren't they? Are they teachers in the white tops on that picture? And while I've got the mic, I just wanted to go back to the dancers. There were some children who were so big, I thought, surely we haven't got that many big ones. But am I right in saying, Rona, that some children who've just gone to the high school, they stay in touch?
Yes, they do, and I think quite a few of them who were dancing were from the college that we support. So, yeah, there's still
yeah, it's very good.
Children.
It's the school doesn't exist in isolation, I think I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing project
and
from
many
the
years
school.
ago, of course, we never had the communication that we have now. I can remember back in the 90s when Maria and I were just with the fax machine, and I had to be really careful what I said on the fax machine, because the whole of Camuli got to hear it before Maria did. And then she'd send me an answer, and of course most people read the answer as well. So once we got, computers and the mobile phone, it was just wonderful. So yes, now we can keep in touch with so many of the students, which we couldn't do before. So yes, you're quite right. Yeah. And one of the things we've been doing over the years is having another video. Thank you, Jack. He's just giving me a little wave. Now, this young man is taking the bark off. There's a branch, and then he takes the bark off, and then he hammers it, and he hammers it, and it goes from very small to very wide, and then he leaves it outside, and it dries, and then they can use it for cushion covers. Years ago, they'd use it for clothes, and also, if somebody dies, they wrap people in this bark cloth, and if you live, 10 miles away, you put on the back of a motorbike in the bark cloth, and off you go. So it's used for all sorts of things, and cushion covers, and my Bible is covered in the bark cloth, and it just lasts forever. So, and also there was little pots, wasn't there? Does anybody want to say about those pots? Because all of us brought a pot or two home.
We did. Yeah, I bought two. They were really wrapped up well in banana leaves and tea towels, but I got one of them, and I was very happy with that. The suitcases get thrown around, don't they? Yeah. And so I got two little bowls. And I just wanted to say something about the tree bark. The piece that you saw in the video, we watched through the whole process of that. We were there long enough for it to be dried in the sun and stretched. And I bought it, and I'm going to make some bookmarks with it to try and make some more money for the future projects at Maria's Care.
Yeah. Anybody else? It impressed a few of you, didn't it? The village.
The village was very impressive. As we said, most of the places we went out to around to see were all very interesting, and see people's lives a bit, and then they were very happy to show us around the various plants and the fruit trees they had there as well and things. And they're everybody's really friendly in Uganda, so there was always an interesting chat or story, I think, wherever we went. You were saying about the pot. I got a nice pot that he was showing. I've realised that they didn't really want to sell that pot because they said, no, it's used, you don't want that, but I really like that one. But in the end, they did give me that pot, and I took it all the way back to Italy, and trying to get it on the plane through there was a bit of a feat, but I'm very happy with my pot. That's the main thing I brought back.
No, that's great. Yeah, and again, we took things, I think that ball, the green ball was one of the things we took out there. And they were very, very happy. They very little English, and we do have an interpreter there. But the singing and the dancing, and they love to do that. And I think you were doing the hokey cokey there with them as well, weren't you? We did that near everywhere we went, and you don't need to know what the words are, do you? You just go in and out and have a great time, and all the actions, and they just follow it with the actions. So, no, it was great fun. And that goes back a long time when we first went out there, and I hadn't a clue what they were talking about, tree bark. You can't get bark cloth to actually use. And then he showed us how to do it. And then over the years, him and his wife both became Christians and were able to go to the local church. But can you remember in what he dug up for us, which many people don't know where it comes from? Do you remember he pulled that plant out and lifted it up and did that? It was... I mean, the majority of you probably know where you get the peanuts from. You know, packet, salted peanuts, and you eat them. Or, like me, I didn't know. And I said, what's in that field? And they said, G-nuts, as in ground nuts. And then they shook it like this, and they did this, and then they showed us all the little... I mean, you can buy the peanuts, G-nuts, still in their little shell. But most of us don't. We just buy it as a packet. And so there they all were, and that was a big eye-opener to me many years ago when I was shown where the G-nuts come from. So he took us round and showed us different things, and we have huge eye-openers. You know, even the bananas on the trees are huge eye-openers, because in the actual flower of the tree, flower of the banana plant, and you just peel the petals back, and there is a whole hand of bananas hiding underneath that petal. I didn't take one this year, but in the past, I'm just been amazed by things like that, because we just see the banana as it gets here. Yes, we do see a big hand of bananas, but to see all the detail, it is amazing. And people say, where do they live? And I say, in mud huts.
So can I just go back to the G-nuts and say that when we all quite liked that G-nut sauce, didn't we? Which is a bit like a satay sauce, really tasty. And it has this sort of reddish colour and a really good flavour. And then one of the staff in the kitchen was explaining to me, they showed me a big pot of ants that they were washing. And apparently the ants are one of the ingredients in the G-nut sauce. He did invite me to try them raw, but I wouldn't do that. But they actually are. They give this reddish colour, don't they, to the sauce. So we actually all ate G-nuts and ants. Unknowingly.
And we're all here to tell the tale. Yeah. As we're going around and we see different situations, I'll often say to the group, just pop in there and have a look how they live. Just pop and look at that kitchen, see how it is. And so different ones take pictures. And when people who want to go to Uganda say, well, what's it like? How do I describe that? You tell me. You know, it's very, very difficult. And that's today, not 200 years ago. That's now. And that's what these guys saw. So that's another reason we go out to help these people. And it's great fun. As I say, all the people who gave us gifts, I wish you'd been with us, because it's such fun, isn't it? And the squeals and the excitement, and when they receive these gifts, whatever it might be, a balloon, a ball, a little car, all sorts of things. I think you gave lots of little gifts out, didn't you? Anything in particular that stands out that you remember?
I think a ball. They just loved balls, didn't they? You know, I think that was one of the main appeals, wasn't it, to give them a ball. And we actually had little balls that when we saw children out on the street as we were going along in our bus, we'd throw them out to them, didn't we? All these little tiny bouncy balls. And they were just ecstatic.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of fun. Again, just a few slides for you to see. Oh, is Dee here? Because here's that goat. I can't remember if she's here. I hope she's watching online. So we were given money for a goat and we were given money for hens. And then, of course, we were like, oh, here's the goat on the bike. Oh, is that the only way it can travel? The answer is yes. So the goat's on the bike, and then it was given as a gift. And there they are in the village. So that goat will have babies, and then they have milk, and so it'll be very productive, and they'll gain money through it. Now that's a picture of me years ago with Patrick. He's since in heaven, and he was a lovely man. He couldn't say anything except, thank you very much. That's all he could say to me. And whenever I saw him, and he was the one who was the tree bark man, and he's passed it on to his family. So that was special. Oh, now, Amelie, this is your forte, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I held 2 lessons in crochet for a mix of the older girls, so it was half hearing girls and then half deaf girls, because I thought it would be a really good skill for them to have in the future for their lives. They loved it. They were so, like, even when they weren't getting it straight away, they were still so determined to keep trying and trying and trying, because they just really wanted to have it. And that middle picture is not actually me teaching a lesson, but I was sat outside the classroom and I was just crocheting, and a bunch of kids just came and circled me, and they were just gawping at my crochet, and they just loved it. They really loved learning a new skill.
Anybody else? Did anybody else do it with you?
Joanna did it with me.
Okay.
And Helen.
Right. So there's quite a few people who gave us knitting wool. And when people say, would you like some knitting wool? And I'd nearly jump down their throat saying, yes. At the very beginning, there was a lady who had been at Maria's care who was deaf. And over the years, we were able to let her have a knitting machine, so we could give her wool as well. Now, this is one of the things. A few years ago, a few people came out, and I'm just trying to think, Wilson. I'm just think of his name. Stuart, thank you. Stuart Wilson put a couple of the showers in, but over time, and with so many girls, of course, they weren't working. So we decided to put some more showers in. And so we were able to put 4 showers in. And again, we just take it for granted, but what they were doing was using a bowl and a cup, and they were showering like that. So we were able to put, we all clubbed together with money that had been donated. And so you helped us put all of this in. And again, toothbrushes. Many of you gave us toothbrushes, and we were able to take them out. In fact, one of the schools gave us a load of toothbrushes that we took out, and the children absolutely love having a new toothbrush. So much so, we taught them a little song, which we do every year when we take toothbrushes out.
Get out of the way.
This is the way.
We're going to sing it even louder than that, eh? Are you ready? Can I begin?
So we managed eventually to get them. And then I followed them through and saw them cleaning their teeth, and they were so excited. And then somebody gave us money to get toothpaste. Well, that toothpaste, it was hilarious, because they were putting it on and going like that, and the toothpaste fell off. I mean, it was really great. And the children have a little key around their neck, and that key is they have a blue box in their dormitory, and everything that they own is in that blue box. And I saw one of the girls lifting up and putting her toothbrush and toothpaste in there and locking it safely inside. And that's what they all do. That belongs to her. So there we are. Now, many of you gave money for us to teach the children how to swim. They haven't been swimming since last year when we gave some. It's £1, and that's all it is to go to us, all it is. But they don't have disposable income. So how could they go swimming? And so most of you went in and taught them how to swim. And it was a lot of fun, wasn't it, Emily?
Yes, it was lots. It was lots of fun. In Rona's very tentative plan, we had already planned to teach some of the older year school kids to swim. So we took them on a day, and then Joanna, Pippa, and I had this idea to get the teachers involved because they didn't really get a chance. They were kind of just there to supervise. So on Sunday, when they were cooking and folding paper and making boats and aeroplanes, we got the teachers out and we were getting them in the pool. And some of these teachers are 30 older, and they have never, apart from being in a shower, obviously, they've never been in a body of water like a pool. So it's such a weird sensation for them to step in, and they're like feeling like they're floating, but they're not, and they really don't get it. But it was really encouraging to see the friends helping each other learn how to swim. And it was just so fun. We played chicken. I don't know if anyone has played chicken in here, where you get on other people's shoulders and you fight and push the other one off the shoulders. The people loved that. The teachers were obsessed with that game. But yeah, they had such a fun time. It was really great to see them really dive in, no pun, but dive into this new experience. It was really fantastic.
They're very fearful of going anywhere near a lot of water because, of course, the only stories they hear is when boats have gone over and people have drowned. And also, they've never had the opportunity to learn to swim. You're quite right. So many of them were around the outside and they wouldn't go in at the beginning. Yeah. And then eventually, slowly, they went in. And I think, have we got a film of the teachers or the children? I'm not sure. Oh, these are the children. Can you turn this up a fraction, please? They're doing the hokey pokey. Yeah, so you did lots of the hokey cokey in the water, didn't you? Lots and lots of it. And but the children just enjoyed it so much. So yeah, we carried on doing that. And we were able to do most of the classes, and obviously they didn't actually learn to swim, but they've had a taste of it. And many of you gave us swimming costumes. So those are all there waiting until next year, and they'll be able to have a go again. And there they all are, the staff and our group with them, having had a wonderful, wonderful time. Now, we always take things as well for the maternity, and Pippa loved that, didn't you, Pippa? She did, yeah.
So we went and someone had brought like little knitted cardigans and stuff. So we went in the maternity ward and gifted loads of cardigans. But it was really emotional, like when we walked in, I think it's the third photo, the second one and the third one, they were just on the floor in the hallway where they'd been discharged, but then obviously they don't have anywhere to go after. So they were in the hallway, so we'd gifted some clothes for them then, and they loved it. And me and Ado ended up staying for ages because they just kept giving us their babies to hold, and then another mother would come and take that baby and give us their baby. So we just spent like an hour in there holding all these women's babies. Yeah, it was lovely to see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We do take medical supplies as well, and so we were able to give those to the nurses, and they're always very pleased to see us. And we saw the IT unit, and we were able to go around there, and like you say, they love us holding the babies. It's very, very special, and we had a great time. Oh, now who's this, Ado? Somebody had a bright idea.
Okay.
Rona, we would like to do something.
So these kids, they're eating every single day, the lunch and dinner, the same thing. That I just thought, oh my God, they're happy with that, probably, but I thought, let's cook something different. So what they have is this posho that is like polenta, and with beans, right? So lunch and dinner. So I said to Tim, why don't we just cook pasta with tomato sauce, just a different day for them? So we asked the deputy and Rona and say, what do you think, that's feasible? Can we do that? And then he say, yes, of course you can. Of course, it's a risk because maybe the kids doesn't like that. They don't like that. But then we did. So Julie went to, because we couldn't find a lot of pasta for 100 kids or enough in Camulli. So Julie went to Kampala, got everything. Kampala where, ginger. And she found everything. So we were ready to have the ingredients to do that. And then on Sunday, unfortunately we missed the church, but we were there, me and Tim, and start to, cook pasta and with tomato sauce for the kids. And then I pass it to you, but I want just to tell you something. I mean, 80% of the kids, they loved it. They really loved it. But I remember the scene of this little girl. She probably was 7. She came to me, that is the one. She came to me and said, I don't want it. And then I just cuddle her and say, don't worry, you don't have to eat it because you're the guy that is cooking for them, the one that does the lunch and dinner for all these kids. He's got portion and beans for you, so don't worry, you don't have to eat it. So it was very emotional that I really enjoyed that.
Ado said just about everything, but it was really great fun, and the guys in the kitchen helped luckily because they had different cooking apparatus to what we would normally be used to, kind of big fires with huge vats to cook the pasta and the tomato sauce in, and it was very hot and smoky, but it was interesting. I was a bit worried it wasn't going to turn out, but more or less it turned out okay. And as Ado says, some of the children were very frightened of it, and because they'd never seen anything really different than what they usually eat every day. Others were very curious and very interested, so some of them came back for 3 times for helpings, and some of them went back to their posho and they were happy with that. Yeah, so. Yeah. Oh yeah, it was a bit. There weren't really the tools for the job to make pasta because they had the tools to make what they normally make with these beans and maize flour. So for like draining the pasta, there were no colanders or anything. So I managed to get a kind of crate, a plastic crate with holes in it, and drain it through that, and etc. etc. But it worked in the end.
I walked in just as he was draining it, thinking, oh, any minute now, but he's going to have boiling water over his feet, because it was a washing basket with holes in, and it was all being poured in, and it was everywhere. And I think we've got a video of something coming up. Ado, here she is. What's he doing?
Oh my God. Tomato pasta with tomato sauce for these wonderful kids.
How many are you cooking for?
We think 100 kids, plus teachers, plus the volunteers, plus anyone want to come and enjoy this Italian recipe. Hope everyone will like it.
So when people say, what will I be doing in Uganda? I never know. Here they are. Oh, there they are. Yeah. Pouring all of that in a smoky kitchen. Now, this was a before and after. Julie, do you want to say something about this? What you observed and what you decided to do?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So the dining room, it's very kind of dull and round. Can you see where the serving hatch is? Because of the heat and the smoke in the kitchen that comes through, that wall gets black. And so we thought, well, maybe it's good if we can perhaps do something about that. So we priced the paint and we got it painted. And I took out some banners. I got them off Temu. Actually, if you type Uganda into Temu, loads of stuff comes up. So I got these. Are they on there?
Yeah, they're going to be. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, those. And
What
we
a
just hung
difference.
them. Yeah.
What a difference.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. And that was a spontaneous thing. I mean, it had been decorated a few years ago, but when we've got over 300 children having lunch every single day, and the teachers, I mean, goodness me.
Yeah.
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 It's Wear and Tear, I think it's called. Yeah, great job.
But you know, the thing that made me smile about the kitchen, when we spent time in the kitchen, you don't realise it when you're not in there, but it's there. How, you know, the risks, the health and safety is not in it at all. So in the kitchen, they have these, like 3 big ovens. So they put the firewood in, and so it's like a furnace. And then there's a big hole in the top where they put the big pot in there. But what we witnessed was like trees sticking out of the furnace, and every so often they just push it in a bit more, so you're stepping over these burning trees. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. There you go. Yeah. Yes, it does look lovely. Really lovely, that. Oh, now then, anybody was here in March when we had the 30th anniversary and you heard Dennis speak? Dennis was one of our young little boys that was brought along to Maria's care with his brothers. And he grew up and he used a lot of common sense, and a very practical young man. He did plumbing, and then he got people around him who had skills that he needed. And he went off to university, and also different places. He was sponsored by different people from England. And he was able to set up an agricultural college in Uganda. But not only that, he's got different businesses, 2 in America, 1 in Canada, and I think 1 in Holland. And so with finance that comes from that, he's able to do this in a place called Ginger. And he now wants to have some land nearer to Kamuli, where we are, so that the agricultural college, the children from Maria's care, can go at the weekend and learn agriculture. And one of the things we've been talking about is the sewing, expanding the sewing and the carpentry. And that's something we hope to do. So we're now just hoping and praying for land over nearer to Maria's care. So watch this space, because anybody want to talk about that? Because it was such an amazing college, wasn't it? And we all walked around and had a look at all the things that he was making. And he had little signs on everything. And the biology of different things, that was, I think, a cow or something. Now, this is where we've looked after this lady for a long, long time. Her name is Joyce, and over the years, she's lost the use of her arm and her legs because she had a stroke. And so a little stall was built for her so that she could sell goods on there and make some money. And so we go every time when we go out, and we take her cabbages and just different things to put on her stall. And because somebody had given us money for chickens, she received these chickens. So she was very, very grateful. And it's a very sad thing when you see a woman coming on the ground because she can't walk. It really does. It puts a lump in your throat, I can tell you. And these are the things here that we gave to her. Again, just clubbing together, saying everybody put some money in, and we'll get these goods so that she can now make money on top of it. Yep. See the kids in the village on the left, and then we give them clothes. Somebody had a story about those little shoes, and I can't remember what it was, with all the laces. I think they're tied up, aren't they, round? And that was Joyce's house, and I knew her mattress would be shabby. And I said, right, we'll get some mattresses before we go, which is what we did, but we didn't expect to find out that the pit latrine had collapsed and she couldn't use the pit latrine. I mean, I have no idea where she went if she didn't have a pit latrine. So we said we would put money together and have a new pit latrine built, and also her roof. I mean, that one there is her kitchen, but the other one on the left is the roof, and that had got so many holes in. Anyway, we paid for that as well, through all of you, because the donated money helped that. Now, this was an amazing situation. I don't know who came up with the idea of using the laptop. Pardon? Raquel, did she? We were given, it wasn't a laptop, what was it called? An iPad. We were given an iPad. Off we go with it, right? And then towards the end, I said, I still haven't got anybody for this iPad. What shall I do? And then Raquel said, well, what you can do is for the student, what was the student's name who could see? Pardon? Patricia. Who knows the story about Patricia? Because I don't. Do you? Yeah. I didn't know the full story about this.
Yeah, so this is Patricia. She is losing her hearing, and she's also losing her sight. So a couple of years ago, she started to lose her hearing. I think it was an injection she had that made her ill. I'm not too sure. But yeah, Raquel came up with this idea. She couldn't see the blackboard from where she sat there, and I mean, the blackboard is so close to her already. That's how awful her sight is getting. But the iPad, she's able to use the camera on it and zoom in, and then she's also able to do that on her book as well, and she can zoom in and see. Yeah. No,
it was brilliant. I would never have thought of doing that. And so she zooms in, and she's able to read what is on the blackboard. Now, this was another amazing thing. Somebody in Bollington gave me this wedding dress, and from the 70s it was. So I thought, well, the only thing to do with this is pop it in the washing machine, which I did. And it came up beautiful, and I put it in a long bag and folded it up, put it in the suitcase, and then out in Uganda they were saying, what are you going to do with that wedding dress? And I said, well, I don't know really, we'll just wait and see what happens. Anyway, the last day leaving Kamuli, I was talking to the driver, and I'd never met him before, asking him about his family, and he mentioned that he'd got a daughter, and she was getting married this year. And I said, oh, that's lovely. What size is your daughter? And because they're all sizes out there, just like we're all sizes here. And I knew the size of this wedding dress. And he said, well, she's little, and she's, and I was thinking, oh my, this is perfect. I said, has she got a wedding dress? He said, oh no, not yet. I said, when's the wedding? October, right. So I said, well, go along to Maria's care and ask if you can try on the wedding dress that is in the cupboard. And so I quickly sent a message to Fred and said, please hang that wedding dress up because somebody's going to come and have a look at it. Beautiful veil, beautiful dress, and it was perfect. So there she is in the dress. So nothing is ever wasted. People say to me, well, what shall I give you? And I say, look, God knows it's out there and it will get used. Somebody once gave me a hearing aid. And then on the last day, I was talking to some people who belong to the Gideons, and I said, is there anything you really would like? And they said, well, my daughter's deaf and I could do with a hearing aid. It's one of those moments where you've got tears in your eyes, I tell you, and you can hardly speak. And so we were able to give it. Now here we are with the 3 boys who have done so well. Anybody want to talk about these boys? No? Doing really well, and they are going to, there's some big, the school prom, that's right. And they said, please, could we have a suit? So there they are in their new suits. Still with the tags on, bless them. And this is when I was talking to you about us at the very beginning. There was Susan with no knitting machine. And I went and I said, oh my goodness, I introduced her to all of them. And I said, what's happened? And she showed me a piece that had broken. Now, she's had that knitting machine for about 25 years. So we clubbed together. And then she was sick. And then eventually we were able to say, right, the money can be sent out now because she's better. And she went to Kampala a couple of days ago, and she's got her new knitting machine. And so I've made the suggestion that maybe some of the children from Maria's care can go and learn how to, it is a gift. I could not in a million years learn how to do a knitting machine, but people can, and they will learn. And then they will be able to sell their jumpers and make a living. So that's really good. And then we went to see a concert. Before we went, of course, we had the Ebola. What was that? Ebola. And so one of the things I cancelled because I was a bit bothered about going with lots of people was the concert. And I said, perhaps we shouldn't go. And when we got out there, and I said, what do you all think? And they all said, we're going. And it was fabulous, absolutely fabulous. But you see, it was a choice, and it was their choice. And I wasn't forcing them to do something. And so we went and had a wonderful time. And here are some of the people performing. It was just incredible. And we did go on safari. They work hard. And then we, at the end, did the concert. And then we had the time at the on safari. And that was like the icing on the cake for us after working really hard. Because they're up very early. I don't talk about that when we're first going out. And then we're up early, and we're working all day, and then we sleep very well. And so we had a great time doing that. So yes, thank you for listening and being a wonderful support. Just before we close, are there any questions at all that you would like to ask the group who are... Yes?
The rate of deafness that you talk about,
Yeah.
is that related to childhood illness or lack of vaccines? Or
We're talking about the deafness of the children. It's a real mixture, isn't it? Can you answer that, Heather? Helen? Yeah, that'd be really good. Thank you.
With regard to children who are deaf, it's for a number of reasons. The first time I went out there, I discovered that the deaf children hadn't actually ever had their ears tested properly, and it might just have been that some of it was impacted wax. But the children have now had their ears tested. It can be due to childhood illness. It can be lack of hygiene and disease. It can be inherited. It can be all sorts of things. But the school are now on the case now, and they've had a charity go in this year and test all the children's hearing, which is wonderful. And it means they can now have hearing aids.
Yeah.
And also the girl that you saw that was, I think it was her, using the iPad to look through. Hers came about because she'd been given an overdose of quinine in a vaccination. So gradually she's been losing her hearing, but she's also losing her sight. So yeah, we'll do what we can.
Yeah. Anybody else before I just ask them to finish off? You got a question? No? Okay. Anybody, any questions? Because I'd like them to tell you how they felt before they went. I know the answer to this, but you'd be surprised how they felt before they went. So would anybody like to just be honest and say how you felt before you went?
A bit, not worried, very excited, of course. We didn't know what to do, But let me just say why I decided to go. Because Rona is a friend of my mother-in-law. And so for many, many years, Joan was telling me about the great experience and what big things Rona did in Uganda. So I always, in my mind, there was like, one day I want to go, one day I want to go. And when was that? A couple of months before we left, we just... I was in Macclesfield, and I went to a lunch with Rona and all the friends, including my mother-in-law. And Rona was there and said, I want to come to Uganda, Rona. And she said, okay, Ado. And I said, can you tell me something about Uganda? And they say, well, Ado, as she said before, you just come and you see, because it's just what I can tell you is just changing your life. You will come back, you will be back and you will be different, and it's true. It's just you come back and you just feel like you've done something incredible, and how big is the world, and then how many people are in this condition. It's just this is one example, but there are so many places in the world where people are so in bad condition, and we are really, really lucky that we are born in the right place of this big world. So for me, it was amazing.
I was so scared when I started, and I'd come to these sort of things, and it looked like an amazing trip. So I thought I'll just do it. And I turned 18, and I had the summer off and stuff. So I thought I'll just do it. And then when it came to January and it started to actually become real, I was like, oh no, I don't want to go anymore. And I'd convinced myself a week before I wasn't going to go. And anyway, I spoke to Rona about it. She was like, you can come, you'll be fine. And I got on the plane and I felt sick and I wanted to go home. And then I got there and we went to Maria's Care, I think it was the second or third day. And we went in the bus and we went through the school, and the children all came up to the bus windows, and they were shouting, they were singing for us. And it was just lovely to be there. And it was an incredible experience, and I'm so glad that I went and I didn't let my anxiety get the better of me. Yeah.
No, you were great, absolutely great.
I was just going to say that when we booked this last September, October, it was quite a different world, really, wasn't it? So, obviously the war, that was of concern to me, the fact that we were flying through Doha, and we did have a few issues, but that was of concern, that we were flying through a war zone. And then, of course, Ebola. Some friends, are you going to Uganda? Do you know there's Ebola out there? And it's a huge country, and we just felt that if it was meant to be, it would happen. And the other thing that concerned me at the time was my yellow fever jab, because I had no idea that if you're over a certain age, it could be the risk factor increased, and you could be quite ill if it wasn't successful. But anyway, all three things went down well, and we all went and just loved it.
Rona said to be honest, so I'm going to be completely honest. I grew up, there used to be a notice board right in the coffee lounge, right at the very corner, and it had all of Rona's beautiful pictures, and I used to stare at it as a little kid. So I'm going to do that one day. So September last year, when Rona started doing all the presentations and stuff, I was like, I'm doing it this year, I'm going to be brave and I'm going to do it. So I signed up, I paid all my deposits, and then it got to May time, and I was like, oh, what if I actually signed up to, what am I going to do? And then all the news came out about the war and Ebola and stuff, and I started looking up my travel insurance, and I was like, you know what, I'll just cancel my trip. I don't have to do this. And then I don't know. It has to be God who sent me, because it definitely wasn't myself. But I got there, I got on that plane, and to be completely truthful, I was still so anxious out there, because it's the unknown. You don't know what you're going to get up to. But it was the most amazing trip. So if you're thinking, I would love to go to Uganda, but I'm just an anxious person, I could never do something like that. If you have Rona or Julie or Helen or even Anne, people who have been so many times before, know that they know what they're doing, and you can trust that it's going to be a good trip and you don't need to be worried.
Thank you.
Word as well. Yeah, I wasn't particularly anxious before going. I was just a bit worried about the going through Doha thing as well on the way in, that they might not let us back in from through Doha. Well, we might have problems getting back through. But apart from that, it was positive anticipation, but not knowing what to expect really. And I must say that on every front, the experience, as I hope from today, you've got a feeling of was positive for so many things, and basically the warmth of the people, and the group was great as well. We had a lot of fun, as Rona said. Yeah, and well, Rona knew it was going to be on the ball.
I felt that I really needed to go back to Uganda. I first went in 2015. And then I went in 2017 and 2019, and we were going to go and celebrate the 25th anniversary of the school, and of course, COVID got in the way. And but this time, I realised that we had got to, over the years, we'd got to know and like and really admire the headmaster, the two deputy head teachers, and many of the staff. They were still there. They were still there after quite a few years, and I knew it was going to be great to see them. But also, I had another agenda, and Rona knew that I really wanted to go back and meet someone that I first met in 2015 when he was in his early 20s, and now he's a man with a wife, 2 lovely boys, a niece who stays with them. He's got his little house on his 1.5 acres of land, and he was one of the early children who were orphaned, who went to Maria's care, and Rona knows his history. And we're just thrilled, really, that he's been as successful as he has. And he's a very nice man, now in his 30s, of course. And yeah, I really wanted to see him and his family. And I might say more about that afterwards. But this is why we wanted to go, and it was great.
So, as you can imagine, we could stay here till midnight, but I don't think you want that, really. I'm going to let Julie speak, because unless anybody wants bursting to say anything, then I'm going to let Julie and Helen take the floor. Okay. Well, Helen, do you want to speak? Yeah, do sit down, yeah.
Well, I'll try and keep this as short as possible. As they know, I could probably talk about this for 3 hours, but I promise you I won't. Can I just say, these people are a wonderful group of people. They were so lovely to be with, and they allowed us to do all the sort of backroom stuff. There was a lot to do. There were lots of interviewing to do of students, lots of visiting for us to do. And they just were so wonderful, the children. It was really lovely to see. So thank them for that. Now, about 2 years ago, Julie said to me, would you like to take over the sponsorship? And I said, well, I've got an interest in it. I'm quite interested in it, but I don't know what to do. So you're going to have to guide me through this. And she told me a little bit about the sponsored children that we support. And I sat down and thought about it and prayed about it. And I don't normally tell people this, but I'm going to tell you. Most of these people know. I was a Bernardo's baby, and at the age of 8 months, I was adopted. I was adopted into a wonderful family, and I've had a wonderful life. I have a wonderful husband and 2 beautiful children and grandchildren. And I look back and I think, what would have happened if that hadn't happened to me? And I'd ended up in care somewhere like so many children do. And so when I started looking into the sponsorship and started reading about these children, it really touched my heart, and I thought that could have been me. So I started to look at it, and I said to Julie, yes, I have to do this. It's something I have to do. So I'm going to read you a story in a moment about one of our success stories. There are so many of them. So why do we actually sponsor children? Well, lots of children in Uganda and all over the world, they fall behind with their education. Not because they don't work, but because of family circumstances and financial difficulties in the home. Lots of older children, and I think it was a surprise to these people how many older children are in the younger classes because they start school late, or they miss class because they have to support the family, or they have to work in the fields, or they're ill, or they're bereaved. Many children are hard of hearing or going blind, so their progress is very slow. And in Uganda, you don't move up a year unless you pass your exams. So sponsorship enables these children to attend school regularly. It takes the worry away from them. It takes the worry about fees and requirements from their families. And for those children who are orphaned, it means it gives them a chance in life to go to school and make something of their lives. And it takes the pressure off the families and off the school. So how does this work? Well, we ask for, but we don't insist on, a monthly payment of £30. It doesn't have to be £30, it could be £10, or it could be more than £30. That covers the tuition for the children, their uniforms, stationery, 2 meals a day, sugar and toilet paper, and board and lodging where appropriate, because we have 136 children actually living at the school. So a monthly donation of £30 covers the cost for at least one child, and sustained donation over several years means the child can carry on through junior, infant, junior and senior school. So I'm going to read you a story about a little girl called Faith. And it's interesting that her name is Faith. This is Faith here. This is her mother, Oliver. Oliver is deaf, and I sponsored Oliver when she was at Maria's Care, and this is her daughter. So this is Faith. Faith Kittibawa's story is both inspiring and remarkable. Although both of her parents are deaf, Faith has been able to develop her speech and communicate, just like other children who grow up in families where everyone can hear and talk. Faith joined Maria's Care at a time when she was struggling with everything, particularly writing. She had no friends because she found it difficult because when she was at home, even at the tender age of 6, she was helping her mum and dad. In the beginning, she found it difficult to form her letters and express her ideas, but with constant support from her teachers and her parents, she has improved enormously. She's known for her curious and outspoken nature. She takes part in discussions and is often argumentative, especially when her classmates don't agree with her. This quality shows the confidence that is growing in her and her ability to think for herself. She's shown particular strength in maths, often excelling in this subject compared to many of her classmates. Her teachers and her family are so proud of her. Her mother, even though she's deaf, is very supportive. She has developed creative ways to help her daughter. The teachers are very impressed by this dedication. They note that whenever Faith's mother comes across a question she does not understand, she does not give up or ignore it. She runs to the school to seek clarification from the teachers, showing her determination to see her daughter succeed. Faith's journey is an example of what can be achieved through perseverance, family support, and a nurturing school environment. She inspires her classmates, but demonstrates that whatever the challenges are, however great, they can be overcome with love, determination, consistent effort, and support. If you feel tonight or at any time that you could sponsor a child, please let us know. We always have children who are in desperate need of help. And just try and put yourself in that child's shoes and understand what it's like for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to say a big thank you to all of you for coming tonight and for supporting Christian Relief Uganda. And where is the camera? Is it over there? I'd like to say as well thank you to those who are in Uganda at Maria's Care, the staff, the trustees. Thank you for letting us be part of your journey. And we're really privileged to walk alongside you. So there are a few things that I'd like to give thanks for tonight. And One is those who are supporting financially. It is so incredibly important because it allows us to do projects, much needed things that you've seen are done at the school. And also those who gave donations of things that we took out there. Like Rona said, you know, you don't know. You're taking something out and you think, I wonder who would use that. And you find that person. And sometimes there are like God incidences that happen. I took my friend to the audiology department at Withington, and just in conversation with the audiologist there and telling her I was going out to Uganda, she's given me a bag of 98 hearing aids, but they're missing wires. So I'm praying that if there's anybody in here who's got a connection with wires for hearing aids, we need wires. I'd like to say a big thank you to Helen for all that she's done. Helen's made a huge difference with the sponsorship project. She really has. And there are many children now who are coming from very underprivileged backgrounds, from the villages where they never would have thought they would get an education. And Helen is really working with Fred to get these children into school and supported. And thanks, Jack, for all that you've done tonight, and your helpers for doing that sound for us. And Pippa for putting together that presentation. Well done. It was great. So those who went to Uganda, you know, it's a bit like living in community for a while. When we meet at the airport, I hardly knew anybody, but I thought, do you know what? All these people who are virtually strangers to me, at the end of the time, we will be so close. And it always works like that. But this was a particularly special time, I thought, and it was great to be part of it with you. I nearly missed it because I wasn't going to go, and circumstances changed, so I was so privileged to be part of sharing that time with you. Now, we have a team of trustees, and our trustees, we're very active. We meet once a month on Zoom, but we're always WhatsApping as well, and every Wednesday morning, the trustees have a prayer time too. One of our trustees is stepping down, Lynn, and I would like to thank you, Lynn, for all that you've done. And I know the rest of the trustees, we're indebted to your expertise and your skill and your compassion. And I know that people in Uganda who you've worked alongside and you've helped them. And we just say thank you very much for all that you put in. We just have, who's got it? Ado, yeah, if you could give that to Lynn, please. Thank you. And, sorry, I also... Okay. There's also another little gift for you in the envelope. So, and, you know, when Rona starts to organise the trip, it's not a 2 weeks thing before we go. It's a long time. She really does a thorough job of organising it. And I like, you know, she puts that flexibility in because things do happen. But she's got all this experience that we are learning from. If in doubt, we turn to Rona. And so we would like to say a big thank you to you, Rona. So before we go, just to point out, we have got some crafts with us there, and some of those bags that are made of the tape that goes around the boxes, we brought some of those, and also some of the Vaseline that you saw being made. We've got little pots of Vaseline. Yeah. So, but if tonight you've thought, I'd like to go, Don't sit on it. Do it. Do it. I do have to say, so you have to be between, so the youngest we take is 18, unless you go with a parent, an adult, then you can be 16 or 17, but if you're going independently, you need to be 18, and I think it's up to 80. Yeah? Oh. Okay, yeah. Because there are, there are, it's not, as I said, there's health and safety is very different in Uganda than here. So we want to make sure we look after everybody. So if you are interested in going, if you want to know more, what we do at first is we have an interest register. So there are some forms. Where have you put them, Rona? Are they? Okay, they'll be at the back, and then you'll just be contacted. We don't have a date yet, so we'll just see how many people want to go, and it might be that we need more than one trip next year. So thank you very much. Is there anything else? Oh, yes, nearly forgot. Do you know, I spent more than 24 hours doing these. So we would like to give all those who went to Uganda your special certificate, and it's got some photos on it as well with you in it. So that's right. Okay, so Pippa, we've got one for you. Amelie. Tim. Oh. Joanna, we've got yours. We'll get that to you. Carolyn. Raquel, there's yours. Rona Marshall. I wonder how many you've got of these. Ado. Anne. And Helen. So once again, thank you very much for coming, and thank you for your support, thank you for your prayers, and do talk to any member of the team if you want to know anything else. I think there are some drinks, yes? Juice. There is some juice available. Will that be at the back? Right. That room. Yeah. The hatch where it says creche. Okay, you know your church. Okay. So thank you.